Breaking news. The Social Security Administration has officially begun mailing out $6,663 checks to Social Security recipients across all 50 states. Is this the financial relief you've been waiting for? Could this massive payment be hitting your mailbox or bank account within days? What exactly made the SSA approve such a substantial amount? And why is this happening now after months of advocacy? Who qualifies for the full amount? And is there a chance some recipients might receive even more? How quickly will these funds be distributed? And what documentation should you have ready if there's any delay with your payment? These are the questions flooding our comments section. And today I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this groundbreaking development that could significantly impact millions of Americans who depend on Social Security benefits. Before I dive into all the critical details about these $6,663 checks, take 2 seconds right now to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. The Social Security Administration made the stunning announcement yesterday that they have begun processing and mailing $6,663 checks to qualified Social Security recipients across the nation. This development comes after months of intense pressure from advocacy groups and lawmakers responding to the financial struggles many beneficiaries have faced due to rising costs of essentials like housing, food, and health care. According to the official statement released by the SSA Commissioner, the distribution process began this week and will continue over the next 30 days to ensure all eligible recipients receive their payments. We recognize the significant financial challenges many Social Security beneficiaries have experienced, the Commissioner stated. These payments represent our commitment to providing meaningful support during these difficult economic times. What makes this particularly noteworthy is the size of the payment. $6,663 represents approximately 3 to 4 months of benefits for the average Social Security recipient. This is not a typical cost of living adjustment or regular benefit increase. Rather, it's being described as a special financial adjustment payment designed to address specific economic pressures that have affected beneficiaries over the past year. The timing of this announcement has surprised many financial experts who hadn't anticipated such a substantial distribution until much later in the year. However, recent congressional appropriations and adjustments to the SSA's fiscal authority have enabled the administration to move forward with this payment initiative sooner than expected. The eligibility requirements for receiving the full $6,663 payment are specific but encompass a wide range of Social Security beneficiaries. According to the information released by the SSA, those who qualify include recipients of Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, who are actively receiving benefits as of the 1st of this month. What's particularly significant about this distribution is that it applies to recipients across all benefit categories, unlike some previous adjustments that targeted only specific groups within the Social Security system. This inclusive approach means that approximately 70 million Americans could potentially receive this payment, representing one of the largest single distribution efforts in the program's history. The full $6,663 amount will go to those who receive the average monthly benefit or higher. For those with smaller monthly benefits, the payment will be proportionally adjusted based on their regular benefit amount. For example, if your monthly benefit is half the national average, you would receive approximately $3,332 in this special payment. There are no income thresholds or additional qualification requirements beyond being a current benefit recipient. This straightforward approach was deliberately chosen to streamline the distribution process and ensure funds reach beneficiaries as quickly as possible without requiring additional documentation or application procedures. For those who receive benefits on behalf of a dependent or through a representative payee, the payment will be processed through the same channels and with the same protective guidelines as regular monthly benefits. The SSA has emphasized that these funds are intended to provide direct support to beneficiaries and should be used accordingly. The distribution of these $6,663 payments follows the same method through which recipients normally receive their benefits. If you typically receive your Social Security through direct deposit, that's how you'll receive this payment. If you normally receive a paper check, the $6,663 will come as a separate check through the mail. According to the SSA's distribution timeline, the first wave of direct deposits began processing yesterday and should appear in recipients' bank accounts within 2 to 3 business days. Paper checks began mailing yesterday as well. with an expected delivery window of 5 to 7 business days, depending on your location and local postal service efficiency. The distribution schedule is being organized alphabetically by last name, with beneficiaries whose last names begin with A through G receiving payments this week, H through M next week, and N through Z in the following week. This staggered approach helps manage the massive processing load while ensuring all eligible recipients receive their payments within the 30-day distribution window. For those wondering how to track their payment, the SSA has updated their online portal to include a payment tracking feature. By logging into your My Social Security account at SSA.gov, you can check the status of your payment, including the scheduled deposit or mailing date. This feature is already active and being updated in real time as payments are processed. If you don't currently have a My Social Security account, now would be an excellent time to create one. The process takes approximately 10 minutes and requires basic personal information including your Social Security number, a valid email address, and answers to security questions. Having an account not only allows you to track this payment but also provides convenient access to benefit verification letters, payment history, and other important information. These substantial payments come at a critical time for many Social Security recipients who have struggled to keep pace with inflation and rising costs. According to recent analysis from the Senior Citizens League, Social Security benefits have lost over 30% of their purchasing power since 2000. Even with regular cost of living adjustments, this $6,663 payment represents a significant effort to help close that gap. The funds are specifically intended to help beneficiaries cover essential expenses and address financial challenges that have accumulated over recent months. Research indicates that approximately 40% of seniors rely on Social Security for at least 50% of their income, with about 20% depending on these benefits for 90% or more of their income. For these individuals, a payment of this size could be transformative. Economic analysts project that these payments will have both immediate and ripple effects throughout the economy. At the individual level, recipients will gain crucial financial breathing room to address pressing needs like healthcare expenses, housing costs, and everyday essentials. At the broader economic level, the injection of approximately $466 billion into the economy, 70 million recipients, multiplied by $6,663, could stimulate spending and economic activity in communities across the country. The SSA has been careful to note that these payments are tax-free and will not affect eligibility for other federal benefits programs. This is particularly important for low-income beneficiaries who might also receive assistance through programs like SNAP, formerly food stamps, Medicaid, or housing subsidies. The payment is classified as a special payment rather than regular income, protecting recipients from potentially losing access to these vital support services. For SSI recipients who face strict asset limits, the SSA has implemented a 12-month exemption period during which these funds will not count toward resource limits. This gives recipients a full year to use the funds for necessary expenses without jeopardizing their ongoing eligibility for monthly benefits. The path to these unprecedented $6,663 payments began several months ago when advocacy organizations representing seniors and disabled Americans began highlighting the growing financial crisis facing many Social Security recipients. Data showed that despite receiving cost of living adjustments, beneficiaries were falling further behind as inflation for essential expenses outpaced benefit increases. Congressional hearings held 3 months ago brought these concerns into sharp focus, with testimony from beneficiaries describing having to choose between medication, food, and utilities. These powerful personal accounts, combined with economic data demonstrating the widening gap between benefits and actual living costs, created momentum for legislative action. The resulting legislative package included provisions for a one-time adjustment payment to help bridge the growing gap between benefits and living costs. The final amount of $6,663 was determined through a formula that calculated the average shortfall between benefit increases and actual cost increases for typical expenses of Social Security recipients over the past 5 years. What made this initiative possible from a funding perspective was a combination of factors. First, better-than-expected payroll tax revenues created additional financial flexibility within the Social Security Trust Fund. Second, administrative cost savings from the SSA's recent modernization efforts freed up operational funds. Finally, Specific congressional appropriations allocated for this purpose provided the remaining necessary funding. The implementation plan was finalized and approved just 2 weeks ago, with the SSA working quickly to begin the distribution process. The speed with which this has moved from approval to implementation represents a significant administrative achievement, particularly given the scale and scope of the distribution. The distribution of $6,663 checks to Social Security recipients across all 50 states represents an unprecedented response to the financial challenges facing millions of Americans who depend on these benefits. As these payments begin arriving in bank accounts and mailboxes over the coming weeks, they will provide critical financial relief to some of our most vulnerable citizens. If you're among the approximately 70 million Americans eligible for this payment, keep a close eye on your bank account or mailbox based on the alphabetical distribution schedule. Ensure your contact and payment information is up to date. Be vigilant about potential scams, and consider developing a thoughtful plan for utilizing these funds. The scale and scope of this distribution highlight both the significant economic pressures facing Social Security recipients and the government's capacity to respond to these challenges when properly motivated. While this one-time payment won't solve all the financial challenges facing beneficiaries, it represents a meaningful step toward acknowledging and addressing the growing gap between benefit levels and actual living costs. As this distribution unfolds, I'll continue providing updates on any developments, including potential extensions or modifications to the program. The financial well-being of Social Security recipients remains a critical issue affecting millions of Americans, and staying informed about these developments is essential for beneficiaries and their families. If you found this breakdown of the $6,663 Social Security payments helpful, please hit that like button and share this video with anyone you know who receives Social Security benefits. This information could make a significant difference in their financial situation. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications to receive immediate updates as this distribution progresses and as new information becomes available. I'm committed to bringing you accurate, timely information about developments that impact your benefits and financial well-being.